Hey, good morning, guys. It's Mary. I want to share with you a little story. I mentioned the other day that my father had written when he was 16, and that would be about 1920. Well, no, he wrote it in 1985, but the story is about him when he's 16 years old, which would be in 1926. My father lived to 101. He was from Ireland. Him and his parents, or he and his family of 7, came over from the Wicklow area to Canada, and they moved to, his father bought a ranch in Wood Mountain, Saskatchewan, and it was a rugged part of the country, he says, and our home was in the center of a long winding valley. Many of the hillsides were covered with heavy growth, poplar trees, the usual underbrush, including willow trees, just to give you a view of what the area might have been like. And he says it was an interesting spot. So I'm going to share with you this little story I found when I was cleaning my office the other day. My father used to like to write his experiences and stories over the years. When he was in his later years, he lived to 101, and he had a stroke about 97, I think it was, and he had macular degeneration, so he couldn't see well, but he still wrote, and he could type for many, many years. So anyway, he says it was an interesting spot. Now, he's 16 years old. It was an interesting spot to live, especially me, as I was totally unaccustomed to woods. For example, I recall one afternoon I took off through the woods armed with a 22 caliber rifle. About half a mile later, I spotted a brown fur-bearing animal about 50 feet away. It was absolutely still and crouched in underbrush. I had not the slightest inkling as to what it was. Maybe a timber wolf. Scared as heck, I raised my rifle and took aim, pulled the trigger, but the darn thing didn't move. I felt sure I made a hit, but as my freight was intense, I took no chance and aimed again. Again, I fired. This time it seemed to sink a bit. With my rifle raised, approached cautiously, step by step, until I was a few feet away when I discovered I had actually just killed a porcupine. It was covered with long brown fur, and underneath were the needles, which I had not seen before. My main reason for this venture was to hunt bush rabbits, and I can't recall finding any, so much for the hunting. So, a little story, this is the funny little part, about one of the neighbors. So about 2 miles down this valley was a ranch owned by the Edwards family, one of whom was a daughter named Lil. She was about a year older than I. Remember, he's 16. One sunny afternoon, about the month of June, who should appear at our place but Lil Edwards? She was a beautiful blonde with a ponytail. We decided to go for a walk about a half mile up this valley. We climbed on top of a fence. It was a pole fence, and we sat on top. On the opposite side was a herd of cows, and with a bull. And as we watched them, the bull climbed onto one of the cows and served her. I looked at Lil and said, "Gee, that looks like fun. I'd like to do that." He was cheeky, my father, even at 16. Lil, after a pause, replied, "Why not? It's your cow." End of story, he says. So I want to share that with you. And if you like to hear little stories and you like to hear funny stories and poems, and I have a friend, her name is Judy Miller, and I'm going to share her link with you. She wrote a book, It's Okay, I'm Fine. I think it's All Right, I'm Fine. And I'll share that information with you, and I'll share her link in the description below. And if you can go to Judy's new YouTube channel and subscribe to her, and every Friday Judy's going to post a poem or a story or some humor that she has, and she's a lovely person. She's so much fun, and she's got a great sense of humor, and I'm just, if you can help her out, it'd be great. So I'll put the information below if you'd like more information to hear Judy's stories every Friday. You can subscribe, and she'll let you know when she's got another story. So thanks for listening, you guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Love y'all.